Hey, y'all, welcome back to Mindset Monday. So, today I want to share with you a hack that I've discovered that I've done for many years now, which has served me really well. So, I'm an agency coach, right? I coach agency owners, but I've also been coached by a lot of very smart people, and I've always gotten a great return from it, right? So, I've probably invested, I'd say $200,000 over the last 10 years. And it's come back in spades. I mean, I've sold over $5 million in agency services over the last 8 years. And I wouldn't have sold nearly that if I hadn't invested in coaching and learned the tactics and the strategies and had the support. So coaching has always been very worth it to me. But one of the things I started doing a few years ago is looking at who my coach is being coached by. And the reason why I do this is not because I'm not getting value from my coach. Coaches are a couple steps ahead of you. They've been through what you've been through and they can kind of point the way because they remember the map, right? They can remember where they went, they can remember the pitfalls and help you get through that. But coaches often are presenting you a lot more tactics and strategies, like a Richard Branson, right? Richard doesn't remember what it is to start a business from scratch and to, have it be smaller and to not have billions of dollars and, have houses all over the world and that kind of thing. It wouldn't do you any good to be coached directly by Richard, right? It would do you good to be around him a little bit and to learn from some of the stuff that he's done, but it wouldn't do you much good to be coached by him. He can be a mentor. So I learned the tactics and the strategies from my coaches. I ask them the questions and I get their opinions on stuff. But what I like to do with my coaches is I then like to look at who have they been coached by, right? To give this a specific example, Dan Martell was my coach for a while. I was in SaaS Academy for a few years. I even worked for him a little bit, I guess, because I was the marketing coach in their Growth Accelerator program, which is like early stage B2B SaaS. So I worked with hundreds of B2B SaaS founders on their marketing and some on their mindset as well. That's where I really fell in love with coaching. I've known Dan for a long time, still can consider him a mentor and, think the world of him. Dan has made a huge impact in my life. Dan is one of the few people that I've seen make just seismic leaps in their life. So many people, they're like kind of making a little bit of progress, right? And Dan, I've seen him go here and they go boom, and then he go boom, right? And he's done it multiple times. And so I'm like, how is he doing this? And how is he doing this that other people are not? And so I started looking at it and I'm like, who is Dan being coached by? Because I want to learn from that person as well. I'm not ready to work with them, but Dan is working with them and then Dan is coaching me and I'm learning the tactics and the strategies and getting some of the mindset shifts that he's getting from them. I like to learn from first principles, right? And I like to find the source and learn from them. With Dan, for example, his coaching coach is Taki Moore or was Taki Moore. And so like, if I want to learn to be a great coach, I need to learn from Taki as well. I can learn stuff from Dan, of course, but I can learn basically what Dan learned to take his coaching business to the level where it got to. I can learn that really from Taki, right? So my goal is to get to the point where I'm ready to work with Taki. On mindset, I know Dan worked with Philip McKernan, who is my performance coach, I guess you could call him. He's based on the west coast of Ireland. I went to an event with him a few years ago, but when I started working with Dan 6 years ago in SaaS Academy, 2019, I was not ready to work with Philip. I was not at the point personally, I was not at the point professionally where I would get the most benefit from working with Philip. But fast forward 4 years and I built my business, became a parent, went through the pandemic, sold a company, started a new company, was burned out. And it was at that point that I heard Philip speak at a mastermind that I was at in Costa Rica in January 2023. I went to a talk that Philip gave at that mastermind. I was like, okay, I'm ready to work with Philip. And so I went in June of that year and I've been coaching with him ever since. But that's who Dan worked with back in 15, 16 to get through stuff that then allowed him to take the next seismic leap. I like to see who are the people that they worked with when they were at my stage to get to where they have gotten to now, because that's my next step and that's where I want to get to. And this is kind of a marker of success for me as well. Not that like, oh, I've outgrown so-and-so. Hopefully your coach is still working with other coaches and they're still growing and they're still learning and that sort of thing. But at some point you get to where you can't learn a ton more from them and you need to get to the next level. And so for me, a marker of success is I've worked with this person for quite a while. I think the world of them, right? I'm so grateful for what they've done. And this isn't like a judgment on them or that I'm better than them or any of that at all. But it's just quite simply, I'm ready for the next level. And so then that person's coach becomes my coach. Hopefully this helps you out. If you're investing in coaching, look at who the next person is. If you're not investing in coaching, get a freaking coach. Like if you're an entrepreneur, get in a mastermind, get a coach. I don't care if it's me. I mean, I do because like I'm good at what I do, right? If you're an agency owner doing over $200,000 a year and you want to go to the next level, like I'm really good at what I do. I'll just be honest with you. I'm really good at what I do. So, I'm happy to chat with you about it and see about working together. But even if it's not me, find a coach and then also look at who they're learning from, because there are gonna be things that you can learn from and get to those first principles, because what your coach went through isn't necessarily what you're going through, but the principles and the mindset that they got from that person can also be applied to your own unique situation. See who your coach is being coached by, make them your mentor, learn from them as well, get the tactics and strategies and some mindset shifts from your coach. And then as you grow, eventually you're going to reach a point where, okay, I am now ready to work with my current coach's coach. So your current coach's coach becomes your coach because you've gotten to the point where you're ready to work with them as well. All right, y'all. Hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.